I bet John Fetterman could pound some cheese curds.
I bet he's doing it right now.
While listening to this podcast.
Yeah, one of those is a good idea. It's not the listening to the podcast. Speaking of podcasts, this is the Handsome Hockey Podcast, back from the dead.
With episode 88. A fine vintage, if I say so myself, as a 88 model.
If we were, I once drove an Oldsmobile 88. That was my first car.
I'm going to claim to be better than that.
That thing saved my life, and I don't know if you can claim that. So
not yet, anyways.
Yeah. I'm fingers crossed it doesn't come to that. Like while recording, Evan shoves me out of the way before a thunderbolt from Thor hits the. It's that like Zeus was like, "Fuck this guy."
I smite you for your opinions.
He's like, "I hate Pride Tape." My name is Jake, and across from me is
the angry manlet, Evan.
And the thing that made me most about that was that my shtick is the angry one. You're the rational one.
Yeah, I'm glad that we kind of switch roles on social media.
Yeah, maybe I'm more personable in person, but like on the podcast, they're like, he needs to see a doctor. Does he have hemorrhoids? Is that what's going on there?
That would explain a lot.
That would explain a lot. I don't, thankfully. Knock on wood.
You know who's got hemorrhoids now is Pierre Dorion.
Or has just got like abscess and he is fucking having a great life.
Yeah, maybe he's finally getting treatment, but Preparation H became Preparation Exit the fuck out of the Senators.
In the midst of 5 years of unparalleled greatness, Pierre Dorion, who promised such things, has been fired, largely because he fucked up a lot.
I mean, yeah, to his credit, he also made some pretty solid lemonade out of some pretty sour-ass lemons for
Absolutely.
Years. But if you're faced with a challenge like that, you will inevitably succumb to it, it seems like.
Yeah, I think he was one of the first people to have a shitty team and realize, I'm just going to blow this up. I mean, he traded away Mark Stone, Erik Karlsson.
Right, a Stanley Cup Finals reaching squad.
Yeah, and to his credit, I mean, he's got Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, Thomas Chabot, Jacob Sanderson.
The cast goes on and on and on and on and on, and like they are stacked for the future, but like
all signed to team friendly deals too.
Yeah, it's hard to see someone fall on their sword like this, but he probably deserved it, even given like the great track record.
Well, there's some bad in there. The Matt Duchene trade was a nightmare.
I mean, what was bad versus what was just painful.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is like Ottawa's a small market team that had mismanagement from the top. And so he had an unenviable job for how long, and did a pretty admirable job with an unenviable position.
For sure. I mean, they foisted Pierre Maguire upon him as like,
yeah, right. You need more bald men around.
Some also ran like, oh, this is the guy that's gonna. It was like Eugene Melnyk owed him something.
Yeah, or I mean, it sort of felt like, China sicking like an operative on you that takes you out to tea.
Well, we got him good. Like,
I was just like, oh, I'm gonna keep tabs on your ass.
Well, the end game here was the league coming down on the Senators for their role in the Evgeny Dadonov trade that did not happen between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks.
Which is very strange because they are coming down on a trade that did not actually involve the team.
Yeah, the stink of it is when Dadonov was traded to Vegas. Dadonov, Vegas was not notified of a no trade clause in his contract, which it's weird because you could have just looked on Cap Friendly and found it. Right. But Anaheim was on Evgeny's 10-team no trade list. Evgeny enacted that clause when that trade was proposed, and the league was like, yeah, you can't do that. He has a clause. And then everybody looked around at who the culprit was for this sort of malfeasance, and Pierre Dorion was just like outside looking in the window, waving feverishly.
So, according to some sources that I just read, what happened was there was a call after the trade was completed to finalize it, and Dorion, for some reason, did not have a second, kind of recommended second person in the room. I was trying to make a word "recommended" there. Being a GM is a legal position, and that's why you see a lot of people with legal type qualifications and training being around that. And Vegas had a second person in the room. The job of the second person is to provide, kind of in situ feedback, corrections, blah, blah, blah. And Dorion allegedly was asked by Vegas's GM at the time. I can't remember his
Kelly
name.
McCrimmon.
Yes. Are there any no trade clauses we need to be aware of? And allegedly Dorion said no. Vegas has a second account of the call. The Senators do not. So that is one of the kind of central issues, which I think is, I find this kind of shit interesting. Like, it's like, I don't know, wire fraud spy shit.
So the Senators basically didn't have somebody on the grassy knoll.
Yeah. It's more likely is that like Dorion made like a contractor level honest mistake, and then eventually the paper trail led back to him. Also, all indications are that like Vegas kept on this because this kind of fucked them over pretty hard when it happened. The funny part in that was like Dadonov himself was like, oh, I'm just going to go off now that I'm like the center of attention. And like, I think he scored a bunch of points immediately after this story.
Yeah. They were like, oh, they don't want me here? Well, I'll show them by helping them make the playoffs.
Yeah, classic you fuck on me.
Yeah.
And but I mean, like, did they win that year? No. That's the year they didn't win, but they came close. Then they traded him in the offseason.
Yeah.
So according to Elliot Friedman, is that like for something of that sort to garner the response from the NHL that it has, that Ottawa must have misled the league's investigation in some capacity, which I think is interesting because I don't know. I mean, is Dorion just trying to cover his ass there, and then it takes a 2-year-long investigation to like come back and bite him with a smoking gun?
Well, while he was misleading the league, he was probably also stealing signs from other coaches. So, it will take quite some time for that investigation to wrap up.
That's a Michigan joke, folks.
Fuck Ryan Day. We'll just say that. So sticking with the Senators, another one of the things that was kind of cited as why Michael Andlauer let Pierre Dorion go was not having signed Shane Pinto when they had the cap space and then going and making moves that negated that cap space that then didn't allow them to sign one of their star rookie players or young players.
I mean, you kind of wonder if the next story, which is Shane Pinto's gambling suspension, like had any sort of say in this. Like, did Dorion have some sort of ears on the ground about this? It's kind of wild considering that the Senators feature a gambling advertisement on their helmets that one of their players would get such a stiff suspension for allegedly not gambling on the NHL while not being under contract with the NHL. Like, you get the sense that somebody in this is lying. I also like how Michael Andlauer this whole time is like, why is this my fucking problem? This all happened under a previous regime that wasn't disclosed to me when I bought this team. Excuse me? Why am I being punished?
No, the Senators player who hasn't been signed under suspicious reasons, that's Alex Formenton.
Right. And because
we'll get to the end of that story at some point.
He been fomenting some shit.
So Shane Pinto has been handed what some people are saying is a pretty lofty suspension by the NHL. It's also the first suspension to come out of this new anti-gambling statute that the NHL has put forth. And
conveniently for them, like, Dustin Brown's out the league.
So we don't actually know if this is a heavy suspension.
Fuck, I mean, Mike Richards, whatever.
Mike Richards, one of those old kings.
Yeah, never mind.
You mean Mr. Aaron Andrews?
Conveniently, this anti-gambling policy does not extend to, like, cash bets between players.
Yeah, you could run a underground casino in your locker room and you're fine. But the second you pull out your phone and punch up FanDuel, you're in deep doo-doo.
You know the Keegan Michael Key skit where he's pretending to be Michael Jordan gambling with the Bulls staffer back in the day?
No, I haven't seen it.
I think it was on SNL, and it's like he just destroys the staffer's life. They're playing this game of quarters, and it's who gets closest to a wall. And he just takes their clothes, takes their car, takes their house.
Sounds about right, except
that's acceptable.
Except Jordan also lost a bunch of money gambling. Anyways, he only got banned from the league for 2 years for a gambling problem. Whatever.
Allegedly.
The Players Union, the league, and Shane Pinto himself and the Ottawa Senators all came out and were like, yep, we're good with this. And so there's a bunch of conspiracy theories abound that he bet on NHL games.
He had to have bet on NHL
games. But the only thing said by anybody is that he didn't bet on NHL games.
Right. And it's placed by the lie.
Yeah.
The only reason, if you were betting on the fucking ponies, whatever, and you're not under contract, they are not doing this to you.
Exactly. That's another important thing. He was technically not employed by the league at this time. Well,
yeah, exactly.
When this investigation happened, the betting may have come when he was still under contract. But the thing that makes it feel even more likely that he bet on games, NHL games, is that everybody signed an NDA. So we're not going to theoretically get the details of this ever.
Right. Some lawyer threw a fucking NDA grenade into this mix, and it's oh, now it's all just going to be silent. Yeah, it looks so fucking guilty. And it's such a minor sin. And they are gambling that between hushing it up and people kind of not giving a shit about this,
that people will forget about the 2018 Canadian World Junior team.
Was he a part of that whole thing?
No, I just wanted to bring that up.
We talked about
Alex Formenton.
We talked about Alex Formenton, but the NHL needs some PR wins, and it seems like they set themselves up for one here. At least you could call it a PR coup, because Shane Pinto almost certainly bet on NHL games if you read the fucking tea leaves.
Speaking of wins, should we skip to Pride Tape Gate?
Yeah, let's do it, because we fucking won, bitches.
To the Ivan Provorovs of the world.
And your dogs.
And your dog that blacklisted me on Instagram.
Your homophobic dog.
Yeah, fuck both of you. You gay haters.
Yeah, Travis McDermott has come, or sorry.
Yeah, Travis Dermott.
Yeah, not Mick. Travis Dermott has come to save the day.
The best part about this is that it took one dude saying, "No, I'm going to still use pride tape" during warm-ups.
Yeah. On like the heel of his stick.
It took one dude for them to be like, "All right, we're wrong." Okay. One dude. That's all it took.
But it sort of took one dude,
but it's also
to push it the other way, right? In Ivan Provorov.
Well, and the Russians, but yeah.
Well, he's not the Russians. Half of the Russians were fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nikita Zadorov was fine.
Very clearly okay with it. Yeah. He might be dead soon, but he was fine with it.
You try and kill Nikita Zadorov. Good luck to you.
He's like the dude from The Quick and the Dead who's like, "I cannot be killed by a bullet." And then they shoot him like 30 times and he's still like, "I cannot be killed by a bullet."
Nikita Zadorov is the closest thing the NHL has to fucking Ivan Drago. Yeah, you try and Eastern Proms in a fucking steam room and you're not going out of that steam room alive.
He's like Bullet Tooth Tony.
Yeah.
Minus the dying part at the end.
Let's just make some space here for appreciating Nikita Zadorov because Calgary has been shit this year, and he just called it like it is. He's like, "Yeah, I feel bad for our fans. We've been fucking awful."
Yeah, they have been really bad.
They have been, but he has done that more than one occasion, and he's also the guy who. We are thankful spilled the beans on the Nathan McKinnon chickpea pasta thing. So Nikita Zadorov, we salute you randomly out of
despite the fact that we're talking about pride tape. The NHL caves to what Evan has rightfully labeled the American/Canadian Taliban.
That's my operative term for him.
Well, I mean, like we're like, "Oh, the Taliban is the worst thing ever. We gotta like eradicate them from." And what do? Oh, they don't let women do things, and they ban books, and they
run
like
around with guns,
hate
and
education.
trucks.
Yeah, and it's like, wait, no, that's the South.
Yeah,
that's
also
that's Idaho,
parts of the West.
Yeah,
I mean, shout out to Idaho, who has just sued someone for crossing state lines to get an abortion.
Yeah, good, sweet move.
Charged, I think.
Yeah,
not sued.
Good use of your tax dollars.
Good job, American Taliban.
We're gonna charge you with something that you did somewhere else.
We're gonna get back at you with tape,
painter's tape, even not even high strength tape.
And so it's kind of heartwarming to me in that it took one person to start this. And it sort of took one person to stop this. And what does that say about your fucking personal agency to do something to change whatever is around
you?
To
change Gary Bettman's opinion.
I mean, that takes like $1 and a pointed finger.
Yeah. It's like he every once in a while eats some spinach and thinks he's Popeye, but he runs out of steam when one dude puts puts multicolored tape on his stick. Like, "Oh no, an expression of self. We cave."
He runs into one can of Swiss chard. He's like, fuck.
And it's not even, and like no discredit to Travis Dermott. Like it was a bold step on his part.
Actually,
and
all of the credit to Travis Dermott because he's on a 2-way contract. This affects his fucking career.
Yes.
And by my eye, it already has because there's no smoking gun of a clear injury, but a couple days later, Arizona has their Pride Night and Travis Dermott is injured.
He was sick, was the official.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I feel like
was he not?
I feel like if they like sick policed him, he would have come out and been like, "I wasn't sick," or "I was the only person who ate shellfish that day on the entire team, and that's suspicious."
Or keep this quiet, otherwise it's going to get worse.
Yeah. Man.
So I think, like, I legitimately think that him sticking his neck out there was courageous, because for somebody on the bottom half of one of the worst teams in the league on a 2-way contract to be the person that says to does the thing that, like, singularly gets the reaction that makes the NHL change their fucking mind is unreal.
When I said no discredit to him, the reason I was saying that is exactly that. Mm-hmm. He's not Connor McDavid.
No.
Like, he's not one of the biggest stars in the league.
Right.
And so, like,
he doesn't have that much to lose.
Well, no, I'm saying...
But also everything.
No, I'm saying he has everything to lose. And the fact that... I was saying, let's not discredit him because he is somebody who plays one of these lower roles on the totem pole. And the fact that his one act of rebellion, like, it didn't even take a star player. It took... Yeah. For the NHL to fold. Like it's
just like fucking tissue paper in the wind.
It's fucking embarrassing for the NHL on so many levels, because, like, they never had to do this. At no point did they have to make this gesture
to cave to fucking Neanderthal.
Yeah. And so they do it, and then one fucking guy who is legitimately just a fucking guy comes out with multicolored tape on his stick, and the NHL backpedals faster than, like, Germany in 1944. Like, they're not even taking Russians with them. They're just like, nope, we're out of here. Boop, 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 boop. It's like Mario going down a pipe when he should be going up. Like,
we're going back to look for jobs in NASA. It's okay.
It's fucking Ooh. It's such an unnecessary spectacle, and, like, just shows how dysfunctional and out of touch the league is. And then, like, somebody realized, oh fuck, this is probably bad, and was like, well, we'll wait for somebody to do something about it.
Yeah, it shows how ultimately unengaged they were with any sort of pride movement. I mean, we already knew how unengaged they were with, you know, any sort of Black Lives Matter movement and actual inclusivity movements. Like, they haven't done shit about those in a long time. And so, you know, naturally, it became obvious over a while that, like, okay, yeah, the pride movement there is not real. And, I mean, the conservatives found a way to take advantage of that. I'm just glad that there was somebody on the other side to kind of quickly do something that threw up the bat signal that got the requisite amount of other people involved to actually, like, force them back, at least maybe hopefully towards the right track. Maybe that's optimism on my part, but,
well, that optimism may be short-lived because the Flyers exist.
Yeah.
And the Flyers are going to use blue tape.
They did. Sorry.
Yes.
This is
sorry. They already did.
I wrote it in the script as future tense, and it is past tense.
So I'll start over. The Flyers used blue tape on their sticks to make a, like, social commentary on the mass shooting in Lewiston, Maine. One, the Flyers are fucking nowhere near Maine. Maybe some of them have vacation homes there, but
this might have been started by John Tortorella himself,
yeah,
who actually, like, he does have a bit of a moral conscience.
Yeah, but the thing here is, like, one, police do not prevent crime. They respond to crime. And so blue tape, thin blue line, all this bullshit, like,
I'm not sure it was that. I think it was just sort of an attempt to...
The choice to use blue, I think, is very obvious.
I actually didn't pick that up.
I'm picking it up, and I want to put it down, but now it's in my hand like a juicy, sumptuous turd, and I can't let it go. It just feels like a very tone-deaf move by the Flyers. Like, good intentioned, but poorly executed, maybe.
What, we need more law and order? No, I sort of thought it was like Maine as the color blue, like that's the college colors.
Nah. I'm going with the popo.
Yeah.
The popo angle.
You can. That's an angle.
Yeah.
I just thought this being committed by, this mass atrocity being committed by a devoted member of said American Taliban.
Yeah. Shocking.
Kind of brings the whole tape situation full circle.
It's really surprising that it was a right-wing white guy.
Yeah, that
Never would have seen it coming.
demographic that keeps committing the same type of crime over and over.
That
and over
also
again.
runs the country that won't stop gun violence. Moving ourselves from a happy celebratory win for hockey is a definite loss all around for hockey. We're talking, unfortunately, about former Pittsburgh Penguin Adam Johnson dying from a freak accident in a hockey game, a professional ice hockey game in playing in England. At this point, most of our listeners have probably heard about this, heard about the dangers of it, heard about the severity of the injury, and many of you have probably seen the video. It's a horrible tragedy that has unfortunately become a whirlwind in, shall we say, certain sides of the social media enterprise.
Yeah, and so Adam, who was playing for the EIHL, currently playing for the Nottingham Panthers, had a insanely crazy accident in which another player for Sheffield, his skate ended up colliding with his neck. And on video that came out 24 hours, 48-ish hours after the fact, it looks really bad. There's no way around it. It looks sort of like some sort of weird, crazy karate kick. Anybody with ice skating experience will know that at speed, they were going incredibly fast. This was sort of a back check collision in which one player sort of gets clipped and loses balance and injures another player, that being Adam. It got picked up on social media by a bunch of people who have nothing to do with hockey and who have never watched a hockey game in their life, because the player whose skate cut Adam's neck was black. And a whole lot of people ran with it with a racial animus. Whereas anybody with any sort of hockey credential and hockey experience knows that this kind of shit happens way more often than we like to think. And then that danger is minute, but very real.
Yeah, just last year we saw Evander Kane in the NHL get his wrist cut very deeply by an errant skate blade. He thankfully was able to skate to the bench, get everything
checked out. He missed some
out.
time. I mean,
he was out for a while, but he didn't die.
No, right. Just last week, Bruins player got cut by a skate to the face up through he was wearing a visor, and it cut him up through the visor to his face.
Yeah.
And he, on Twitter was like, well, there goes my modeling career. This could have been a lot worse, with just gnarly fucking zipper above his eyelid.
Yeah.
And then a whole lot of people are like pretending that this was something intentional, whereas, this is a professional minor league, semi-pro league in some capacity. I guess
the highest level in England, which
so minor league is probably the best.
Yeah, it's probably like the 15th or 20th best league in Europe.
Sure, I know that they're super popular though, because when I was just randomly in London, we happened behind a bus for this league, and it was like, oh shit, this is a dope ass tour bus.
Yeah.
Like, this team just had like vinyl logos on every side of it to the max. Like, tour buses for Kiss like aren't this opulent. And so it was like, oh, okay, the English like take this kind of hockey league pretty seriously. And I mean, that makes sense. Adam, had a couple games in the NHL. He had the chance to and did score in his hometown in Minnesota. He's a Twin Cities native. Any hockey player's dream is to do some sort of facsimile of what he did at the very, very minimal, right? Like get a cup of coffee in the NHL, do a Moonlight Graham from Field of Dreams. You get one good shot. That's any little kid's dream. And he did get to live that dream for a little while. I want to centralize like him in all of this. There's been such this like shitstorm around him and around the other player who I don't really want to name because I think they can remain nameless here.
And they have already received unending abuse at the hands of people who don't know shit.
Correct. So much so that Adam's teammates have come to their defense publicly, saying the way we saw this was an accident. Everyone that was there and witnessed it views it as just a horrific accident. English police are investigating because they have to.
Yeah,
that's like it's part of their responsibility.
Yeah, somebody died. They have to investigate
right. In a non kind of natural cause manner, they're going to investigate, and that's their prerogative. No doubt that they will find that this is a tragic accident because that's what everybody who has had a firsthand account and has stated anything publicly has said. This was just a heinous physics problem gone wrong.
Yeah, and I think this like speculation or not speculation, these people who are, faux outraged for, 5.5 minutes and have probably already moved on to something else.
They have already moved on. Like this was like yesterday and now nothing. They're all mad about other things. I mean, there's plenty of other things to be mad about in the world, but this was just right-wing outrage bait for like 24 hours.
Yeah, like Restaurant Impossible got canceled. That is something to be mad about. Attacking a guy who, for lack of his actions, ended the life of another person. I don't want to say killed because that kind of implies intent in some ways. I know it does and doesn't, but
I mean, there are some accounts and some takes that are worth, I guess, discussing. Daniel Carcillo and Michel Therrien, they talked about it in saying this was maybe an irresponsible move and it led to this. I take a softer approach to that. Like he's clearly trying to go in for a hit. Like that's what's happening. He kind of gets caught up in the skates and backwash of another player and gets tripped up. And then sprawls into this guy's face, basically. Like that's the way I see it. You look at Jack Hughes, like wiping out by himself in the playoffs last year. And like his momentum carries his skate neck high. If there was a neck there, it would have gotten cut. Is that me? Sorry. Jack Hughes last year in the playoffs, he wipes out without any sort of contact. And his momentum carries his skate neck high. If there was a neck right there, it would have gotten cut by Jack Hughes' skate.
What is the most iconic photo in the history of the NHL?
Jack Hughes falling?
I was going to with Bobby Hoare. Bobby Hoare. Bobby Hoare.
Bobby Leslut. Bobby the Hoare.
I was going to say Bobby Orr flying through the air after scoring a Stanley Cup winning goal. Where are his skates?
Neck high.
Neck high.
And like the photographic examples are endless. The video examples are endless. I forget whomst. I think it was a Flyers player got cut by Nathan McKinnon's skate in the face last year. The method in which this happens looks awful. I will fully concede that. It is coming at a bad angle, and I don't think you can see that this player is falling backwards towards the camera a little bit. It is also a Moto Razor photo from 2004, from the distance of approximately the space station. Like it's really hard to see that, according to the people that were there, the player's skate gets caught in the player that is passing it. And I think that's one of the big things that's lost in all of this. Also, the clip that has been shared super wide on Twitter was cut. And so you can't see what happens before or what happens after. And a whole lot of people wanted to focus on like, yeah, this player did not have remorse, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, this player who you are trying to accuse of murder flags down medics and stays by this player's side as he's quickly helped off the ice. It's harrowing to see the whole video, and I don't recommend seeing the whole video.
Reportedly, they were able to resuscitate him at one point, I believe on the ambulance ride to the hospital. The medical staff there were very quick to treat him, but with a cut of this severity, there's only so much you can do to stop the bleeding. And by the time that they got him to the hospital, he had lost so much blood that there was just not really anything that could be done. And
there's some thought that if this had happened in the NHL, as it basically has with Clint Malarchuk or Zednik, I forget his first name. Richard Zednik. The level of medical equipment and preparedness on hand might have been enough to stabilize him and save him.
Maybe
that's speculative, because anytime you get a skate, it's kind of a random cut. You never know which side of it is going to kind of cut. And this seems like it was especially deep and impossible to kind of, emergency suture, or, get to it and cut it off, cut off the bleeding. What you see on the video is akin to what you saw with the video with like Malarchuk and Zednik. That's one of the reasons that you kind of come to that conclusion.
Yeah. So I think, we have unfortunately spent most of our time talking about this, defending the condemned here. And what really has gotten lost in all of this, like, hullabaloo, to use one of my granny's words, is that, Adam Johnson died. And the Penguins almost immediately did something to honor Adam Johnson. They had a memorial video. They had a center ice memorial moment. You're getting takes that have come out over the last, couple of days,
from about everybody,
from like pretty much everybody who had interacted with him. His fiance, who had moved to England to be with him while he played, just posted something like super quick on Instagram. And it's like, how do you say anything more than like two or three sentences when you've just watched, probably your best friend die? And his parents were watching via that grainy video feed.
The live video feed was better than what we have seen. And that's the other thing, is a whole lot of people that were watching the video feed share the kind of accidental thought. What was circulated, I feel like, is like literally irresponsibly grainy.
Yeah, it's like a Zapruder film. Like
It is.
It's terrible.
The Ontario Reign did a bunch of things to honor Adam, basically anywhere that he played, which is a long list. In a pretty short career. Like he's 27.
Yeah,
and like he played across a bunch of different leagues. Like you can tell he liked to travel as a hockey player. Like he
was willing to take a shot in a league that would give him a shot.
Right. He played
to England.
He played in the Swedish league in between the NHL and AHL. He played in the Danish Elite League, and then most recently in this English league. Like he sounded like a light of a human, from all of the accounts that I've heard from people that have played with him, coaches, trainers, well, everybody. He was born in Hibbing, Minnesota, and had every trapping of a good Midwestern boy that cares about the people around him. I can't imagine being his wife and family at this point. Like it's just got to be incredibly, incredibly difficult. Our thoughts are with them, with his former teammates, with everybody involved in this, with his current teammates. It's hard to talk about someone that is so recently passed like this. Like, how do we refer to his fucking teammates? Are they current? Are they former? Like,
yeah,
the tenses get screwy. That's how recently this person has departed the earth. The reaction from the hockey community has been warming and also practical. I think the video, it should not have really been shared as widely as it was.
It's inevitable at this point that it will be, but yeah.
But we talk about this in the context of the Russian kid that died last year from a dump-in clearing shot that went right to the back of his or back of his neck.
Yep.
The practical response to this has been much heavier, much swifter. You've already seen several leagues, including the first was this EIHL, to mandate neck guards. And then following them, several other leagues, the WHL amongst them, have required them moving forward. Several teams, the Penguins, required them for their, I think, ECHL and AHL teams. TJ Oshie said his company, War Road, sold all of them almost immediately. Like they're the only reason that the EIHL has not made this mandatory immediately is because they literally cannot get enough of these things quickly enough.
Yep.
Because like this was sort of an understood risk in hockey, yet nobody had died of it. And, it was... Sorry, nobody in the professional level had died of it. I think in the amateur and lower levels, yes, we have seen deaths from cuts. Apparently, Adam was a really good friend of Winnipeg defenseman Neil Pionk, who is one of my kind of perennial sort of favorite players for no good reason. So I'm sending him, special thoughts and shout out at this time. Like the Minnesota boys got to stick together, and it's tough to lose one.
I'm sending shout outs to anybody who has to play for the New York Sound next year.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You mean the sound of like a taxi almost running into a pedestrian and then honking at the pedestrian and then the pedestrian going, "Hey, I'm walking here."
It's much like Paul Simon, The Sound of Silence. So the PWHL has
silence.
made some noise since we last recorded. Well, every single hockey entity in the world has made noise in the time that it has been in between our recordings. But,
Except the one we play for.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other one.
oh, R.I.P.
Played for.
Yeah,
That's definitely a past tense.
Yeah. The Battle of the Tenses could be the name of this episode. Yeah. So the PWHL officially put out a logo, and
Fine. Like
it's just
okay.
a W with hockey sticks. It doesn't even say the name of the league.
Well, it's the W in PWHL that they
Right.
they rolled it out in a very silly way. I've warmed to it a bit, especially as like a logo designer, and they also shared like sketches, and I'm a sucker for sketches.
I'm a sucker for sneakers.
Is same.
You sketches, Nas sneakers. Got it.
It's fine. Fine, like it's fine.
If they wanted to emphasize the W, like, could they not have PHL there with the W bigger? Like, I don't know. Maybe it unbalances it. I'm not a graphic designer in any way, shape, or form.
Well, and a lot of graphic designers with a lot of great skills get undercut by shitty clients.
Yeah, very true. I think this one's pretty lame. I'll just say lame.
It's lame. Then we get to the names.
It gets worse.
It gets worse. Like
Yeah.
lame is good.
It's
at this point.
So the
Right, like this is almost as bad as talking about guy who died.
yeah, the scoop on this was picked up by DetroitHockey.net, which I actually read frequently.
I thought you'd like
Yeah,
that. I was
they,
they were the first people to pick up on this
Yeah, Detroit,
random fucking trademark filing.
Detroit Hockey Net picked this up first. They're for the most part they're kind of like an article aggregator sort of thing, but they also put out their own pieces mostly about Detroit hockey.
Oh, so like what we would do if we really wanted to commercialize.
Yeah. So this is it's very weird that they were the first, especially a city that's not getting a PWHL team, at least in the original 6 here.
Their aggregator just happened to troll this fish out the ocean.
To troll into like the US Patent Office and like find this nugget. Listed.
Watch like one of them's like a patent lawyer, and like that's how this came across. This is trademark. This is not patent. These are very different things.
It's a side hustle that one of the folks at Detroit Hockey Net has.
I imagine it looks like a fucking GeoCities page from 1997.
It's I'd give it like 2004.
All right.
Yeah.
I think I love like throwback web pages. So
yeah, I mean, you could play like an 8-bit side scroller on it, probably.
we should do that to
like
ours.
Contra.
We should go full fucking vintage website.
The only people who go to our website are hackers, anyways. So, they're bot hackers.
Shout out to our bot hacker friends.
What up? Thousands a day. You
Russians.
love us.
Hey, maybe some of you play hockey.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they're like, we must know secrets of handsome hockey.
You fuck with handsome hockey.
Yeah,
Logan.
they're like, Putin says we must need handsome.
32 unsuccessful logins. Yes, Jake.
Damn. The friends you meet on Twitter who hate us are probably trying to bot hacking us.
Yes. All my good Twitter friends.
The password is password. So the names are the Ottawa Alert, the Boston Wicked, the Minnesota Superior, the New York Sound, Montreal Echo, and Toronto Torch. Supposedly. Allegedly.
I mean, they put it on paper. We're just reading the paper.
Much like ostrich fucking in Letterkenny. This is allegedly.
Allegedly. Allegedly, you were taking an aqua dump instead of getting a hand. Do you want to venture a ranking of them?
Yes, absolutely. I want to rank these.
Hell yes.
Yeah. You and I both have I think, the same number one.
You think so?
Because of the historical significance of it, I actually really appreciate it. Do I think it's a great name? No.
Meh.
But
it's not awful.
It does have historical significance,
and
which I appreciate.
It's got some roller hockey vibes.
Oh, it really has, like, sponsored by Rink Rats.
Yeah, or like 90s.
Yeah.
Like,
Black Biscuit.
We wear Zubas to the game.
So our number one is the Ottawa Alert. We are in cahoots here that the Ottawa Alert is an actual good name. This is a team that could have theoretically been playing to actually have won a cup from Lady Isabel. They played in the 1920s.
Yeah, they were very successful.
Yeah, very successful women's team in the 1920s. Okay, so who's your number two then?
It's sort of difficult from here on.
No, it's Superior, not Huron.
Thank you.
There we
they
go.
are not they are not second.
No.
I'm gonna go with what I put in the script and Toronto Torch, just out of sheer alliteration, and it's a symbol. It's about athletics, vaguely. Sure.
I hope the logo is like one of the flamethrower bearing folks from the newest Mad Max.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, just go all in on flamethrowers.
Yes.
That would improve Toronto Torch. Sponsored by Elon Musk's Boring Company flamethrowers.
My second is actually the Montreal Echo. I actually really like that name. I don't know why. I think it's a
Echo. I think of Echoes with John DeLiberto. The ambient music masterpiece that's distributed by NPR, and I think was like the most expensive thing that my hometown NPR bought.
Isn't Echoes like a thing that Pink Floyd did at some point?
And it's like the show is like 50% like Pink Floyd and Brian Eno. Like,
shocking.
All right. I'll throw in. I think this is a good place. I think this is kind of starting to be like a combined list. I kind of agree with your coming from. I'm gonna go with Boston Wicked.
That's my third. Yeah,
Wicked piss off.
The fucking Wicked bud.
This is so dumb, but yes,
it feels very Boston.
Like,
it's embarrassing that they had the Boston Pride name just sitting there that they legally own.
Yeah,
and they went with Wicked. Yeah,
right. Like,
oh no, we're gonna get real wicked out there on the ice.
Really, what it was the crossover with the musical. they had
their jerseys
an unbelievable marketing opportunity.
If the jerseys have like Wicked Witch of the West themed colors to them, I'm out. I'm done.
Do it. Fucking give me like militant witches with riding hockey sticks. I love it. Okay, see, like, this one I could sort of come around on a little bit.
We're making them better as we go.
We really are.
Yeah.
Sort of like DF Pendries. Like, I don't know if you've seen their stuff on Twitter.
I'm totally off of social media now, so no.
It's been like this solidly like the last 3 months. They've just been like pooping out AI logos for anything PWHL, and it's very funny. But a couple of them are better than what we're getting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, DF, I miss you. I hope you're still listening. But I don't miss social media. So
that's, I mean, that
from afar.
That is where that Pride jersey came from.
Yes.
This is where it gets hard.
The bottom two, I think, are Minnesota and New York. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, those are the only two we haven't talked about. So that's that's a matter of process.
I think we already have the Sounders in MLS. Like, New York Sound, like, also geographically tells us exactly where they're playing. Like, they have to be playing on the island somewhere now.
Yeah, I put that one all the way at the fucking bottom, and I will put Minnesota on top of them because that is at least a lake that touches the fucking state.
Sort of. Somebody was like, they've got like 200 miles of coastline. I was like, that's not that much.
Quote unquote coastline.
You can drive that in a couple of hours.
Also, it's like frozen for 60% of the
year.
year.
And like it's Lake Superior is like 2.5 hours away from Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, it's important for shipping.
Yeah. Oh, no. You know what's also important for shipping?
Amazon?
I was going to say my dick, and then I was like, that's not funny at all.
Yeah, how about this? You know what else is important for shipping? The Edmund Fitzgerald.
Oh, hey-oh. That's actually what should be the team name of the Minnesota team, is the Edmund Fitzgerald. Like, just if you're gonna take a lake that isn't yours, you might as well take a shipwreck that's not yours either. They're gonna be like the Minnesota Chicago style pizzas. Wait, what? Because fucking Chicago is just about as close to Minneapolis as Lake Superior.
I love it. I love it. NHL hockey. What the fuck even is that?
It's the thing that we were supposed to preview like 2 weeks ago, and then got busy and
life
sick
happens.
and whatever.
Life happens.
And so does hockey.
It's been a pretty solid start to the season. I've been enjoying it. It's been interesting.
Yeah, at this point, I think I've only not watched like 3 or 4 teams in some capacity this season.
That's pretty impressive.
We weren't recording, so I had some free time.
I'm gonna call you a journalist before too long.
Yeah, well, if only I could get paid for journaling.
Say no more. At the what are we? The 8th poll?
Yeah, most teams are at 10 or 11 games at this point.
1/8 of the season in. Your creme de la creme are Vegas, New York Rangers, Boston, Colorado, Dallas, and then we're just gonna like throw them in the New Jersey Devils because they fucking look unbelievable every night, even though they lost more than they should have. And then we get to the last one. It's that Detroit Yzerplans.
Hi. I think Detroit's a bit of a paper tiger. The power play was clicking at like 51% for a while there.
Yeah, I think what was Alex DeBrincat's shooting percentage was like 37%.
Yes,
at one point,
which I think I joked was right around my shooting percentage at indoor goals. That's not true. It's
yeah,
like
I was going to say.
4%.
I didn't get the joke.
Yeah, it's like 4%. If I was shooting 37% at indoor goals, we would have still lost by 3 goals most games. Yeah, the Red Wings are a paper tiger. I still expect them to not make the playoffs, but
this is fun.
They are fun to watch. That top line with Raymond and Larkin and DeBrincat is awesome.
Like reasons for hope. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
There was a whole lot of naysaying coming into the season, and like, oh, actually, Steve Yzerman might know what the fuck he's doing.
They also got shut out by Sergei Bobrovsky today, so like,
I mean, okay, well,
the Panthers are hot too, though, right now. So,
and also Bobrovsky is he's good now.
Sometimes
he's good Bobrovsky right now.
Yeah, right now.
Next week we'll see.
Yeah,
but right now he's all right.
We've seen the aforementioned Alex DeBrincat have a great start to the season. I think he's already got a third as many goals as he had all of last season.
Yeah, he can sustain this pace.
He'll be a 70 goal scorer. And I think like Mo Seider is still on a point per game pace right now. like it's not going to happen, but it's fun.
If most importantly, they've gotten buy-in. They've gotten contributions from
down roster players.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. And that's what you want early in the season. Like, that's one of the great things about having unsustainable starts. It's like, oh, okay, everybody gets a bit of a confidence boost. Let's, like, when you get to the kind of moribund parts of the season, that comes into play. Like, hey, you remember that hot start? We can fucking do that again. Let's get back there.
Absolutely. Austin Matthews had, 6 goals in his first 2 games.
Yeah, I really was hoping for the trifecta of hat tricks, but it was not to be. My beautiful boy, Jack Hughes. That's for the American speakers, but the French just started calling him Jacques Hughes, which is J' accuse, which means I accuse you. And also most likely to be a part-time lieutenant for New York Police Department, Frankie Vetrano.
He's definitely a horse cop. That dude has equine cop written all over his salty, saucy Italian name.
Frankie V. I can't be happier to be listing him amongst the hot starts and just scoring big goals.
Who knew he would be an elite goal scorer at like age 29, whatever he is? I don't know.
Oh, I do. Giuliani.
We said that Boston's gotten off to a hot start. I think they're like 6-1-1 or so, to start the season, something like that.
Yeah, everybody picked him to regress after losing Bergeron and Krejci, and they're like, who are those guys?
Yeah, except for the fact that they'll be without Charlie McAvoy for the foreseeable future, a 4-game suspension for a let's just say pretty egregious check to the head of Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Like, it
egregious, clear, whatever. It looks more egregious in the fact that you really look at it and see that it was the second time he attempted it that game, which sucks because like OEL had been having a resurgent season and is now going to have to miss time. So
no, it couldn't have been Vetrano. Vetrano plays for Anaheim and OEL plays for Florida.
For Hagee.
Those damn V names will get you.
How much of that do I need to redo again?
I don't think you need to redo any of it. We can just leave all this in.
All right. Well, I am sorry.
You were just so excited about Frank Vetrano that you typed his name in twice.
I did, and I also really like Carter Verhaeghe, and that's what kind of sucks.
Do we talk
he's
about
also really having a good season, and luckily did not get fucking pelted out of the game when Charlie McAvoy woke up and decided to choose violence.
Do we, if we're just like misplacing V names, do you want to talk about Joe Veleno somewhere and call him Frank Vetrano?
What? I mean, have you ever seen them in the same place at the same time?
I mean, I've probably watched a game, but I don't know. The Canucks.
Joe Veleno and Villy Leno.
Villy Leno. He played for the Red Wings. That's a real throwback. The Canucks are having a really fucking good season. It turns out Rick Tockett's a really good coach, and
yeah, I mean, someone that has always had a reputation as being a pretty good players coach. Like, good for them. As our, now our second Pacific Northwest team, it's kind of nice to see. Like, does Quinn Hughes still look sad on a night-to-night basis? Yes, but
Quinn Hughes scores a goal and then like goes and cries to his therapist.
Right. Quinn Hughes looks like he has hemorrhoids in any given moment. But yeah, he looks like he's finding the extra gear that I think I predicted for him like 2 years ago. I think at one point we were like, yeah, who's going to win the Norris? Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes? And I was like, yeah, totally Quinn Hughes. And then it was totally Cale Makar immediately the next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks like he's really reinserted himself into that conversation alongside the usual of Makar, Adam Fox, who left injured tonight, Heiskanen, Dahlin, you know the cast characters for the Norris. That one is one of the more like interesting ones to me, I guess, because it's so neck and neck. Erik Karlsson still has room to be the Norris Trophy winner.
Yeah. You know who's not going to win the Norris Trophy? Fucking anybody on Edmonton, including everybody's like, oh, he's really, really great, Matthias Ekholm. No, he's not. Neither is
he's a good
any single defenseman on that team.
I mean, the real regression is Evan Bouchard. And he has only regressed because he cannot just hand the puck off to Connor McDavid.
Yeah. Turns out that's really helpful.
Turns out that's kind of key to that whole operation working up there. Darnell Nurse is a buyout candidate walking.
That's one of the worst contracts in the league. Like
it might
without even thinking about other contracts.
Seth Jones wakes up every morning and is like, "Oh, thank God for Darnell Nurse."
Yeah, thank you. Your contract comes with expectations. Mine is on the Blackhawks.
Yeah, all I need to do is just like fucking go to work. Seth Jones is like maybe the most blue collar rich man hockey player in the league. Is like there are no expectations for him. You're our number one defenseman, and we expect you to be dog shit. Just show up and collect your contract.
And he's like, I can still support Trump, right? And they're like, yeah, sure. And he's like, all right, cool.
Gotcha, buddy.
I'm in. I'm gonna wear red ties every game.
Yeah, it's interesting in such a like liberal state in Illinois, like how much room for Trumpers there is. That's an entire side conversation, but it's always it is continually interesting to me.
We ain't got time for politics. This is a hockey podcast. Yeah, we never talk politics on this hockey podcast.
You stick to sports, Jake Monty.
Yeah, you stick to sports. I don't know.
Edmonton is a massive fart of an underachievement. You're exciting middle contenders. I kind of left this one open because there's a kind of interesting panacea of teams that like aren't at the top that could really be there at the end. And
aren't the Penguins in next to last place in the NHL?
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah,
let's go there. Yeah, we don't care about the teams that are like almost doing good. Let's talk about the shitty ones. Whatever the Penguins are doing is just not working. And adding Erik Karlsson is starting to look more like a desperation move by the day.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Dubas had to do something right, but like,
sure.
The only teams worse than them are the Oilers, the Flames, and the Sharks. So, the Pacific.
The Blackhawks are doing better than them.
Yeah, the Blackhawks, like, unbeknownst to anyone in Chicago, but yes, the Blackhawks are doing better.
I mean, the Chicago fandom right now has put the record like squarely in the cupboard, and they're just existing on Bedard highlights. Like that is all of Chicago media right now is just Bedard highlights. They are the Chicago Bedards. They have ceased to be the Chicago Blackhawks or the Chicago hockey team. They're now the Chicago Bedards.
And Anaheim is the Fighting Lucas Dostals, who has apparently usurped John Gibson as the starter in Anaheim and has played incredibly well.
And like also shout out to Trevor Zegras, who hasn't had the offensive numbers, but has become a good defensive forward.
Well, he missed all of preseason, so like he's just not going to be that good this year.
Sure, but his defensive metrics are off the charts. So Dom Lashuskin of The Athletic
pay us
had a really awesome article on just like 16 eye-opening stats, and Zegras' defensive stats were really on there. Like he's tilting play in his direction His talent is evident. He's becoming, more defensively responsible as his coach is asking him to, as he said he was going to do coming into the season. But yeah, it's Zegras will get the points and will get the goals soon. It just might be for a winning team more quickly than a lot of people guessed.
Well, that's rude of them. The Calder race, everybody has said it'll be Connor Bedard. Everybody has said it will be Connor Bedard, but there's a lot of really interesting rookies. Evan and I were texting about this the other day. Not recording about this, texting about it. It's just there's so many good young players in the league this year that it's in a normal year. Yes, we would be like, yeah, it's probably Bedard. But there's a ton of good young talent. Leo Carlson's been good in Anaheim. Logan Cooley's having a pretty solid start to the year in Arizona, including having like a ball wrecker of a goal for his first the other night.
Well, the ball wrecker was in the preseason.
Oh, no. Did you see his goal the other night?
It was a good one.
It was pretty.
It was a better pass.
Yeah.
If I may say so myself as a defenseman.
Yeah. And then Luke Hughes is having an incredible year.
That's who I swear to fucking God is going to win the Calder. I bought in heavily, and I believe in the early returns. I absolutely have a dog in this fight. That's part of why I'm coming out so strongly. But the dude is averaging like 4 minutes in the power play per game, and delivering points wise.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely.
I don't see Bedard keeping it up. I think
he's a little young to not be able to keep it up.
All right.
I have to get one good dick joke in.
That was a perfect dick joke.
See,
that was an excellent dick joke.
Yeah. You know what Shakespeare and I have in common? Dick jokes. World-renowned writing fame? No. Dick jokes? Yes.
Devin Levi, trying to be the Shakespeare of young goalies, only has 892 in 1 and 3 through 4 games.
He got hurt. He's had a rough start to the year, as has much of Buffalo. I think Tage Thompson has also had a pretty slow start. I think Tage Thompson will definitely pick it up.
I think Devin Levi will too.
Well, as Tage Thompson picks it up, it will help Devin Levi out.
Sure.
I think Buffalo doesn't want to be the team that has to score 6 goals to win every night, Edmonton.
They also have a couple of other somewhat capable starters.
Yeah, they have a couple of extra goalies, and they also have
Ukko-Pekka, Ukko-Pekka.
And Eric Comrie. There's nothing fun about that name. We are seeing a big kind of emergence of young players this year, which continues a trend, I think, from the last 2 or 3 years where young players have really come into the league and just started off incredibly well. We mentioned Luke Hughes and Logan Cooley. Matthew, is it Poitras? Poitras?
Yeah, Petros. I'm not actually sure.
Piotrowski. I don't know. Anyways, he's going to be the first line center in Boston by the end of the year. They've already announced that they're going to keep him on the roster for the full season instead of sending him back down to the minors. He's 19,
burning that red shirt,
and that's a huge turn of events for Boston because they sorely needed center help this year. As he has had a better and better year, the number of Charlie Coyle appreciation articles has increased like exponentially. They're like, yeah, he's a real team player. He has made it so he's given up his spot on the second team.
Hey,
on
did
the
you
second
hear?
Line
Did you hear Charlie Coyle mowed my lawn
for free? Like, and even filled up the gas on my mower. It was why he didn't have his own mower was kind of weird. But he came by and was just like, hey, I can handle that for you. And, he did. And so my lawn is freshly shorn, and he's one of the best 3Cs in the league.
I'm happy to see the Charlie Coyle appreciation train because the dude, he does sort of deserve it. The other appreciation train is all my own. Pavel Minchkov on Arizona he is a dude.
I went to snag him in fantasy moments after you did and went, damn that Evan.
Got him. Yeah, he looks like the tape is better than the numbers, and the numbers are great. Speaking of the tape being better than the numbers, Tony DeAngelo fucking train wrecked himself on an official in a game. Oh, it was just pure butter. You could not ask for anything better. He's coming back into the zone and just doesn't see a ref there. And then trucks himself, gets up, looks at the ref, looks angry like only a butthurt Tony DeAngelo can. And it's pure butter, man. I don't know how else to just enjoy this.
It's more butter than Big Butter Jesus.
Yes.
R.I.P. Big Butter Jesus.
R.I.P.
That's what happens when you are made out of butter and you get struck by lightning. You burst into flames and leave this hulking metal statue. Oh my God, Big Butter Jesus is one of the best things ever.
Speaking of bursting into flames, early kind of tire fire is Calgary.
Yikes. They can't score.
Jonathan Huberdeau getting pulled in critical minutes after just being caved in for entire games.
Nazem Kadri, also bad.
I mean, he's at least a physical presence trying to get some shit started, but yeah, there is nothing there between the two of them, and Markstrom looks suspect. Noah Hannafin just wants out. Noah Hannafin is just please, Justin Trudeau, call fucking Canadian SEAL Team 6 and get me the fuck out of this team.
What is it?
Will that team?
Is it Moose Team 6?
Probably.
Yeah.
What?
Canadian Geeses?
I will venture a food for thought question. What happens first? Calgary Flames are rebuilt, or the Saddle Dome is rebuilt?
If a Saddle Dome is rebuilt in the woods and nobody's around it, does it happen? I think the Saddle Dome actually has a schedule and a plan. So
no, it got derailed.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, it is moribund, I think, right now.
Oh well. Nah, I'm still gonna go with the Saddle Dome.
Don't quote me on that. They might have had developments, but it is. I want to go to the Saddle Dome before.
Absolutely.
Because it's such a weird arena and such a shitty arena.
I just want to go to Calgary bad.
I really want to do the walk to the press box.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
It looks like a walk to an Olympic diving platform.
It looks like when in Star Wars, when Luke is perilously clinging from the bottom of a space station, and
and you're no, I'm Greg Wyshynski. I'm here to call a game.
And he's like, ah! And then he falls to his death, except for the fact that he's saved. Yeah, this whole thing is fucking weird.
Haley Savian's you guys are giant pussies.
Yeah. And we are.
I want to make that walk. It's like walking the plank, but it looks kind of funny because you go up a elevator and you go down underneath the saddle of the Saddle Dome.
Yeah.
And then across to to some place that they couldn't service with another elevator.
Yeah.
As an architect, I'm just this seems like such a hot mess of an arena. I gotta go see it.
It needs a sky tram.
That's what it needs.
There's so many Skytrams in Canada, they couldn't put one in the Saddle Dome. Come on, man.
Anywho, there was a frozen frenzy. I don't know if you heard about this or watched any of it.
It was two teams that suck playing outdoors.
No. That was the outdoor game. I'm talking about the NHL's attempt to be the NFL Red Zone and have an entire Tuesday where all 32 teams played, and then they put it across the ESPN network. Did you not get in on this?
No, I mean I watched some of it.
Okay. It was last Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool, actually. Like they did a pretty decent job of jumping to game from game and not really telling you that you were about to like see a goal or a cool play. Mm-hmm. They did it a couple times, but it worked. You know, they interspersed enough like non-hockey content to make it interesting. And like timed things pretty well. They could have timed the games better because like it was just clear at some points when they were like riffing like, oh, you guys just don't have enough hockey content to work with right now.
So what you're saying is we can foresee more of these nights where we have to sit like half of our roster in fantasy because the NHL is like, everybody's going to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a benefit to it in terms of like this red zone interest. It's not something that we've seen from the NHL yet. So if we're going to bitch about them not being creative, like we sort of have to suspend our disbelief on this and being like, okay, it might, you know, it worked pretty well the first time. It wasn't perfect, but like maybe it could keep doing something interesting. I think they already have another one scheduled for like February or something.
No, well,
hopefully it's on Valentine's Day to just fuck with everybody. That would be a great.
Yeah, but sorry, dear, I can't celebrate our love.
Yeah, do you love your wife or hockey?
I want to talk about hockey.
Do you now?
I'm so tired.
I'm sorry. I should have called this for earlier.
No.
We're getting there.
Fine.
We're almost done.
It's fine.
We're getting to the exit.
No, I want to talk about Michigan hockey.
Okay, you want to go straight
specifically to homophobia?
Yeah, that fucking insane thing. Let's go straight there.
This fucking frumpkin, like Johnny Draskinis, who's a sophomore at Michigan. I'm assuming he's still at the college. However, he is no longer a part of the Michigan hockey team after he spray painted a penis and a homophobic epithet outside of a Jewish what is it? It's outside of the Jewish Resource Center that is near the University of Michigan's campus.
Early reports are that he may have been paid by Hamas.
I watched the video and was like, oh, I know exactly where he is. Okay. Thank you, Ann Arbor, for being so nondescript. This was initially reported that they had spray painted swastikas and other anti-Semitic rhetoric, which would have been awful. Homophobic rhetoric, still awful.
In their defense, they had recently watched the Dave Chappelle special.
The funny part of this is that he was accompanied by Megan Minturn, who is on the lacrosse team, and as of this reporting is still listed on the roster.
Megan, soon to be an intern.
Yeah. She spray painted her own initials. Like, this is the worst tagging event and the dumbest act of vandalism that has ever been perpetrated.
She's like, I'm Banksy.
She's like, Megan is an and then what's my middle? Fuck it. Minturn.
Go UM.
Yeah, Michigan. Yay. I used that voice because it was legitimately used by like a third of the women at U of M when I was there.
I know.
But I was there in 2006. Like that was just the voice that everybody had all of a sudden.
It was the same voice that the sorority sisters had across like every Big Ten university.
Yeah.
Probably more or less still have today.
It's very much a Midwest public university voice. Yeah.
Right.
Like good job Michigan hockey for kicking this scum bucket off the team like immediately.
Yeah. They did the right thing and unequivocally were just like, oh, you gone. We
Yeah.
haven't even fucking thinking about it.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye, buddy. I mean, I understand that like universities take more to get kicked out from than that. Mostly like just one more of those.
Yeah.
But like I would not expect him to be jettisoned from the university, and he hasn't been.
They're going to put him in the art school because his dick drawing was fucking terrible. Like, if you want to spray paint dicks? We'll show you how to draw some dicks.
Yeah, you're being put into remedial.
You're getting 16 credits a boner drawing.
Yeah, like you're putting into like art 90.
It's like the in Superbad where he gets in trouble for drawing dicks and like can't
But
eat.
those were the best dicks.
Yeah.
I drew a big veiny one.
Yeah. And like that's him now. That is his life. He is like Seth Rogen as a 12-year-old.
That sounds like a solid punishment. If I'm not like you are punished to be Seth Rogen as a 12-year-old for the next 4 years. Like
it's really
it sounds awful.
It's just an incredibly embarrassing situation for the university's hockey team. Thankfully, they handled it well. Brandon Naurato, who is the head coach, they removed his interim tag last year, and it sounds like he's already made better decisions than his predecessor ever did while running the team. So it sounds like the team is in good hands, and they are down one homophobe, which is honestly like that's a step in the right direction.
And it's crazy that
hockey being down one homophobe is a big step.
Like his attack like came immediately before like this entire like giant world upending attack in Israel. Like, crazy. Like the timing for that could not have been crazier. Going with a bunch of other people that are
no longer playing hockey.
Yeah, no longer playing hockey. Derek Stepan, who was just like pretty all right for a very long time, has retired. Paul Stastny quietly retired. Most importantly, Joe Thornton called it a career after, everyone sort of like knew it, but he made it official. And in only a way that Joe Thornton knew how, did it with a weirdly awkward shirtless video, I think.
Yeah. I was going to say his he has retired, but his beard is still looking for a contract.
Yeah. Joe Thornton was one of the greatest passers that the NHL has ever seen. And that was, I guess, one of my personal inspirations from him as a player. But he was also fucking funny. And that, I think, is, to me, like the second and almost like more important thing than like his scoring acumen was like, dude don't know how to make it weird.
Yeah. I will always have him and Brent Burns walking shirtless everywhere.
Or, I mean, being fully naked in the ESPN body issue.
Yeah, and that wasn't planned. Like they just walked in, we're like, oh, snap photos. Click, 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 click.
And speaking of unplanned, there was him like streaking through Austin Matthews like TikTok video.
Yeah.
The dude was hilarious and a class act and someone that will be missed from hockey. I think we have maybe already done a eulogy for him, but like you can't really do enough for big old Joe.
There's a pyre fire somewhere in Valhalla for him and his hockey career going right now.
Yeah, for sure. We'll miss him. Speaking of players that are hanging on by a thread, Phil Kessel. Somebody hire him. He's still looking for a team.
Does his game streak still count?
I think so, because he's not been on a roster and he's not been healthy scratched.
Good for him. I hope somebody comes and beats his record by one game and then like breaks something and has to retire. And so Phil Kessel comes out of retirement at like 55 and plays 2 games just to take the record over again.
Like Phil Kessel's son is like closest to beating Phil Kessel's record, and then like Babcock's son healthy scratches him. I'm gonna go back up in the order. Deals. Sunday. Some contracts got signed.
It's Thursday.
It is Thursday. Devon Taves, great defenseman, got a pretty solid contract. Trevor Zegras got a fine middle of the road deal. Everyone kind of assumed this was going to be a little bit longer of a protracted negotiation, and it turns out, yeah, he got the bridge deal that everyone thought for a very long time he deserved and would been team friendly too. Like, all right, that was a nothing burger. To me, the real story is Owen Power, Flowin' Power. He massively underpaid himself by agreeing to 8 years, $8.35 million, which he's basically already playing at that level now. Like, is he a future like holdout candidate? I don't know, because he's been really fucking good this year. I think from every available metric.
I think he just wanted that security, and so he went with it. And I mean, yeah, is 90 million better than 64 million? Sure, but like
$64 million in Buffalo, New York buys you a lot.
It buys you the city.
Yeah. So, you know, that is a massively team friendly deal that, to his credit, will probably buy him excellent teammates to play with.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the key here is
it's a hugely team friendly deal.
And he was also not going to get more money than Dahlin. And so, like, you know, just take this contract, be financially stable for the rest of your life, and play some good hockey. I
mean, he gets, I think, out of it in his late 20s. So he still will this won't be his most lucrative deal, most likely. He'll probably have another really big one after this, if, you know, barring any sort of accident or injury.
All right, talk about your Alex Wenberg book talk scandal.
Oh man, this shit is crazy. I briefly touched on it just like talking to you last week, but like this happened some time ago, and it's so crazy that it really bears like repeating. There was a huge, crazy, smutty drama that happened around Alex Wenberg and a online collection of writers called Book Talk. Apparently, they decided that this admittedly handsome young hockey player was the object of their affections and their steamy fantasy novels. And it became such a thing that he and his wife had to intervene because they became so kind of furiously engaged that they would like cyberstalk him and like cyberstalk his wife and like
this was a fun thing that got in the hands of the wrong people.
Exactly. And like it was a thing that originally like the Kraken with a pretty progressive social media group, like they kind of lead into that. Like, okay, you're going to talk like hot shit about our players on random corners of the internet. Fucking do it.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then it got real weird.
Yeah. Like to the point where like the Wenberg family was like trying desperately to like get this to stop and like pleading on social media about it. It's incredibly weird.
There's a slow motion clip of Wenberg and Vince Dunn talking to themselves, and like, when you accidentally become a Book Talk account and now that's all you can post.
Like it's there are people who have nothing better to do. And I'm not saying like the original people who started this are those people. I'm saying the people who took it too far are those people.
And it like, if you're going to be nihilistic, like, the NHL could use more of this shit.
It really could.
Give me fucking like Sean Couturier lit porn. Like, you know, just
Have you been reading my journal?
He back-checked me and broke my back. Like, it's hilarious. It's ridiculous. I encourage somebody to like Google this because the subtleties of it are unbelievable. And if we were to do full diligence on this crazy story, it would be a whole episode. Like, it really could be.
I really don't want to dive that deep into the internet anymore. And so that's why we're not doing a 40-minute segment on this.
For sure, because it's so wild, and like the dichotomy between like innocent and harmful is like, that is the interesting line to walk in all of this. It's kind of wild. So moving on from something crazy weird to something crazy cool, Milwaukee Admirals and prospect goalie Yaroslav Askarov did an amazing thing. I believe this was last year, in that he won a game in a shootout and then proceeded to take the goal down, lay on the ice, and bench press it as a celly, which was unfucking real.
It was right up there with the Jack Hughes stick toss.
Oh my God, so good.
Yeah.
This one might be one of the best. I mean, you won the game for your team.
Yeah.
Like, you could just like pull out a gun and murder somebody, and the people are like, "Yeah, nice celly."
They'd be like, "Oh, America, yay!"
Yeah, right. This guy, like, he bench presses the goal. That's so good. So, anyways, the Milwaukee Admirals turned around and made him a figurine that they handed out to their crowds, and hats off to him. It's so good. The figurine is picture perfect, 100%, no notes, A+.
Also A+, one of the most famous players in your town, hockey players in your town, shows up to your arena, and what do? You ID him.
Hey man, you need to be 21 to drink at this bar.
First off, it's Texas. No, you don't. And second off, Tyler Seguin, I don't even know if Tyler Seguin was 21 when he got traded to Dallas.
He still does not look 21. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I understand. Yeah, he got ID'd
by a security guard at his home arena
who didn't fucking believe him, even though I think
he's in a suit.
I think there was something like he didn't have his actual like driver's license or something, but he was like showing the dude pictures of himself on the team webpage, and the dude was like, nah. I'm going to leave us with a funny little anecdote. Former NFL linebacker Miles Jack and his mother have invested in the ECHL Allen Americans. Actually, a pretty storied ECHL team.
It's like West Texas, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But they've been around for a while.
Yeah. Not just that. That was more of like a genuine curiosity question, not me like about to make a joke kind of question. Which is it like. To no fault of your own, I can see why you'd be confused.
I mean, me about to make joke.
Yeah.
Yet another football player has been conned into a bad investment.
He does become the first black minority owner in ECHL history, which is fucking rad. That not that he's only the first, but that this has happened.
Don't forget about his mother
and his mother. Yes,
who's the second.
Really, it's like the second in the history of pro hockey, or at least currently in pro hockey.
Yeah, it's awesome to see participation on the ownership level from someone who's black. Like that is very cool. Unquestionably. Just like economic movements are movements, and this is cool.
Yeah.
Miles Jack was like on my fantasy football team until he wasn't good anymore. So
the puns must have been perfect.
That's a good porn name.
You can jack for Miles.
Yeah, it's a good porn name.
Yeah.
Dirk Diggler, step aside.
Speaking of stepping aside, that is it for us. You can find us on the internet at handsomehockey.com, Handsome Hockey Podcast on Instagram, Handsome Hockey on Threads, at Handsome Hockey on Twitter, handsomehockeypod@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page and a YouTube page.
Oh, yeah, we got the YouTube.
It's all Evan, because I have rescinded my belief in social media. And so I apologize for giving him that work, but he seems to be doing the Lord's work because
I'm just retweeting Shoresy clips. It's okay.
And it's fair because Evan picks fights with people who apparently have met me in real life and makes them feel bad about themselves. So yeah, fuck them. Anyways, thank you for listening whenever we put these out. We do really appreciate it and are thankful for every single one of you. And, tell your friends, tell all your friends, like a Taking Back Sunday album from 2002. We'll be back at some point. We're making no promises this time because the last time we did, I think we were like a month late. So
yeah, I mean, we're in a weird time where it's, had a lot of life, and we're going to try and make like Metamucil and be a little bit more regular.
Well, with that, stay handsome, everybody.
Restez beau, tout le monde.